What is going on, guys? If you've been keeping up with current comics, you might know that December has been the all-fight month for DC K.O. Think of it as kind of like your favorite DC characters in kind of an arcade-style fighting video game, and the arena changes every round. They get to choose their own form, and ultimately, one of the 8 fighters we're going to talk about today will move on to take on Darkseid and will be able to shape the universe in their own image. Very exciting stuff. So we have 8 fights, 8 winners, and I'm going to rank all of them. Some of these fights I was more excited for than others. Some of them I was preparing myself to be let down. And I will be spoiling all of these books, so if you haven't read them yet, hold off on watching this video. But if you already have, or you just don't care and you want it spoiled for you, you've come to the right place. Kicking it off with round 1, we had Superman versus Captain Atom, and I thought this was an excellent fight. Superman was ultimately the winner, and maybe that was a little bit predictable, but I think it was really good and really well written how Superman kind of wins out of the goodness of his character. What I really like about this book is that instead of just immediately overpowering Captain Atom, it really highlights the goodness of Superman. I think that's why I really like this book, so I'm going to put this one in S tier. Next up, we had Aquaman versus Hawkman. This took place in Aquaman issue number 12, and I thought that this book was good, but it was a little predictable, and it was over a little quick, and of course, you have to have at least one fight in here that's over in just 2 out of the 3 rounds, but I went into this expecting Aquaman to win. I really think that they kind of diminished Hawkman and didn't really give him a moment to shine, but overall, I thought it was good. It was a serviceable fight, and I think Aquaman is a worthy victor, so I'm going to put this in B, just kind of a middle-of-the-road fight. Okay, next up, we have Wonder Woman versus Lobo. This is one I was really anticipating, and overall, I think this one was just the most fun issue to read. It really read like one of the old Lobo books from the 90s and really played into just kind of the goofiness and the satire of all of it. And of all the books, I think this one gave both fighters the best chance to shine in their own ways. Something I will kind of criticize a lot of these books for is that they sort of make it obvious who the winner is going to be. There's kind of a focus you get on one of the characters, and in this book, I think that there's really a good focus put on both characters. They both have plenty of moments to shine and show their capability as a fighter, and I think that this book is probably just the most evenly matched fight that there was, and the most entertaining to watch. There was clearly a lot of love put into this book, and the people who worked on it definitely had a lot of fun with it, and I had a lot of fun reading it, so I'm going to put it in S tier, and Wonder Woman did come out as the winner, and I was kind of hoping for a Wonder Woman victory, but I can't say it was predictable. There were a lot of goofy references that I wasn't expecting, like Lobo becoming the new 52 version of himself. Very fun, seeing Wonder Woman kind of outsmart Lobo and hit him with his own bike. Round 4 was an interesting matchup. We had Cyborg versus Swamp Thing, and this is one I was interested in. I wasn't really sure who would be the winner. I was kind of hoping for Swamp Thing, but that was not the case. I think Swamp Thing really put up a good fight, but in the end, he accepted that he was being phased out and could not keep up with the times, unfortunately. And seeing the motivation that Cyborg had to save his friends on Earth gave Swamp Thing the peace of mind to end the fight there. And I thought this one was really good. I don't think it was the best or most exciting issue, but overall really nice, really sweet ending, and I'm going to put this one in A tier. Ooh, and then we have an interesting one. This one was Harley Quinn versus Zatanna. I think in the end, it wound up being a good issue, and I think most people expected, there were some things while reading this that kind of bugged me. There were some points when Harley would break the fourth wall, kind of like Deadpool would. Like, she'd just kind of acknowledge the readers at some point, and Zatanna would be like, who are you talking to? And I don't know, it just felt like they were trying to do a Deadpool bit, and it felt a little forced. I thought that the Wonder Woman and Lobo book kind of did the sort of meta humor, breaking the fourth wall thing a little bit better. And even in Harley Quinn's narration to herself, she's acknowledging that this isn't a fair fight and she really has no business being here, but Harley does win the first round and she's just kind of trying to get on Zatanna's nerves and kind of get that energy out of her that'll be needed to continue on in the tournaments. So when Zatanna finally wins, it is kind of a sweet moment, and I was a little worried they were going to take it in a bit of a different direction, but what they were doing was more subversion. It definitely wasn't a perfect issue, so I think I'm going to put it still in an A tier. I think it was better than the Aquaman fight. I think it was on a similar level to the Cyborg and Swamp Thing fight, where it kind of felt like both characters kind of knew that they had met their match. And these books were really sweet because you could feel that both Zatanna and Cyborg did not feel good about what they were doing, and it felt to them like they were hurting a friend. Okay, moving forward to round 6, and I will admit this one is probably the one I was the least invested in, and it was Jay Garrick Flash versus Guy Gardner. Now, I'm not particularly that interested in either one of these characters, but I was hoping for the Flash just kind of to see Guy Gardner get his ass kicked, and that didn't happen. I didn't think it was that great. I really didn't think either character had a great spotlight, and I think Jay Garrick was definitely at a disadvantage. Being from the Golden Age, he didn't really have all these different forms he could choose from, like characters of the modern age that have been redesigned over and over. He is a legacy character that's kind of stuck in the past, and I think that's kind of the angle they were going for with this book. And right now, Guy Gardner is a little bit more popular, so maybe you could wash it up to that. There's a lot of, like, Guy Gardner being obnoxious, and in a lot of these books, when you have the guy who's being kind of obnoxious and taunting a lot, that guy winds up being the one to lose the fight. So in this one, that's kind of subverted a little bit. And Guy Gardner's kind of taunting him and calling him an old man and kind of poking at Alan Scott as well for kind of being old and stuck in their ways. So I think that's kind of the angle they were going for, and I don't think it's the worst issue, but I don't think it's the best. I don't think it knocked me off my socks, and I don't think it really left me caring much more about either character. So I'm going to give this one a C tier. It's not the worst, but it's also not very good. I would put it below Aquaman and Hawkman, so giving it a C tier. Now, the next one. This was Lex Luthor versus the Demon. And I'll tell you guys, I was going into this book preparing to be pissed off, preparing to hate it, because I'm a big fan of Jack Kirby's Demon. Etrigan the Demon, I think, is a very interesting, very underutilized character, so I was excited but a little hesitant to see him in a book like this, particularly fighting Superman's big bad, Lex Luthor, because I think overall this is a very much an unmatched fight. I think that in any universe, the Demon would absolutely destroy Lex Luthor, but this is DC Comics, and you have to have Lex Luthor and Superman fight. And I knew very early on, although in my heart I wanted the Demon to win, I just knew that they were going to ruin it, and they were going to make sure Lex Luthor won, and that is exactly what happened. And like I said before, how in some of the issues you can just kind of tell who's going to win early on by what character's getting the most focus. And this book, the demon wasn't a character in this book. This was not Jack Kirby's demon. Etrigan the demon was just a prop. And that's it. It was a prop to push forward Lex Luthor. And it was just so silly and stupid how he actually winds up winning the fight. So apparently Lex Luthor has spent time in hell, and he's learned Etrigan's spells and turns himself into Etrigan the demon. So he splits Jason Blood from Etrigan the demon, and Jason Blood's like, "Oh, thank you for freeing me," and then he just like slices his throat. But then Etrigan comes out and is like, "You really thought Jason Blood was in charge, bitch?" And I was really hoping that they'd do the right thing and they'd give the demon his moment right there. But that page ends in a fiery blaze, and on the next page, Lex Luthor is the one who walks out. And I just think that it was a complete joke. Like, I'm sorry. If you have to turn yourself into the person you're fighting to win, you lost. You lost, okay? This is D tier. This is the lowest tier. This is D tier. Do better. This was written by Joshua Williamson, who is writing the current Superman book. I think he's doing a great job, but of course he's writing Lex Luthor, and they need to have Lex Luthor to continue to push forward Superman, and I'm not here for it. The only thing I liked about this book was the art from Hayden Sherman. That's the only thing that keeps me from absolutely trashing this book. Hayden Sherman stepped in for Dan Mora, who I think did a fantastic job. I've been really digging Hayden Sherman this year, so he did one thing that was really good, and I'd like to see him draw more Demon, but this book was not it. But okay, the one that I've really been waiting for, and I think a lot of people were really excited for, was the rematch between Red Hood, Jason Todd, and the Joker, the man who killed him. Finally getting the rematch of a lifetime, and I absolutely loved this issue. Of course, I was in it for Jason to get his redemption in just the most outlandish, arcadey type of violent way possible. I absolutely loved it. It was like a walk through time. You get to see Ace Chemicals. You get to see them fight again where it all happened, where Jason Todd was murdered, and it's great to see Jason choose the form of Robin and turn the tables back on the Joker, to then in the last round, Joker pulling out the Red Hood, but Jason fully embracing what he's become and letting go of the shadow of Batman, but also embracing Batman's energy that this is just a game and he should play by the rules of the game. So the Joker took the first round, but Jason quickly learned that he had to be on Joker's level. He couldn't hold back anymore. He couldn't think about what Batman would do. He just had to completely let loose, and I loved it. I was all here for it. So that's getting an S tier from me. So those are all 8 fights ranked up. Let me know what you thought of that.